Hi, I'm Granny, and we're going down the rabbit hole of the moon episode 4. I mentioned Hipparchus. He was Greek. He lived from 190 BC to 120 BC, was a Greek astronomer, geographer, mathematician. He is considered the founder of trigonometry, but is most famous for his incidental discovery of the precession of equinoxes. So, to put this in context, we need to understand that this discovery of his was done more than 1,600 years before the invention of the telescope. We need to understand what the equinoxes and the solstices are. So, to begin, a solar equinox, think of the word equal, is a moment in time when the sun crosses the Earth's equator. It appears directly above the equator and isn't on the north or south side of the equator. The sun appears to rise due east and set due west. This occurs 2 times a year around March 20th and September 23rd. It is when the day and night has the same number of hours. A solstice is 2 times a year, resulting in the most amount of daytime or the least amount of daytime. Solstices mark the start of summer, June 21st, and the start of winter, December 21st. Precession is defined as the slow change in the direction of the Earth's rotational axis. Precession is similar to the Earth's wobble, and a couple episodes we were talking about the Chandler wobble. Describing in terms that you and I are more familiar with is a spinning top, and when it starts to slow down, it kind of wobbles during its rotation. Well, since the rotation axis is precessing in space, the orientation of the celestial equator also precesses with the same period. This means that the position of the equinoxes is slowly changing with respect to the background stars or planets. This precession of equinoxes means that the right ascension and declination of objects appear to change very slowly, and it's referred to in a time period of 26,000 years. But it's important for us to understand that so that we can make the precise observations. So think of how we have a leap year every 4 years. That helps us adjust our orbit around the sun because it is a little bit more than 365 days. This effect is negligible, very small for casual observing, but it is important to make corrections so that we understand where we are located in our solar system. I mentioned previously that I took a geology class, and the professor talked about how our Earth's axis wobbles, adjusts, changes slowly, and he used the geological evidence of the Sahara, where it shifts slowly, just like the equinoxes, and the Sahara is a savanna, and then it slowly changes back, and it's a desert. And geologically speaking, it happens often enough for there to be geologic evidence of this shift taking place. So my question would be, did Hipparchus have access to the Library of Pergamum? Now, if you remember, Mark Antony offered to Cleopatra that he would get for her copies of the books that were lost in the Library of Alexandria. And he was going to get them at the Library of Pergamum. Well, I'm wondering if Hipparchus had access to compare his maps of the stars with other people's maps. Is that how he was able to confirm what he was seeing to make up the difference for his precession of equinoxes? Because it is important to know where we are in our universe compared to objects outside of our universe. There are cultures all around the world that acknowledge especially the winter solstice, because from that day, the daylight starts to increase. Now, there is a slow lapse of warming, so just because you have longer sun time doesn't necessarily, just like it takes a long time for the sun to start warming up the northern hemisphere after the winter, it's kind of the same thing. So many years ago, I was visiting Ireland, and we went to go see what is referred to as a passage grave, a mound, and there are mounds all over Europe in addition to all over North America. Well, we went to visit Newgrange, which is in Ireland, and it's north of Dublin, and it dates to 3200 BC. It was built during the Neolithic or New Stone Age by what is described as a wealthy farming community that prospered on the lands of the Boyne River in Ireland. You could look at maps. It was built 1,000 years before the pyramids of Egypt and about 500 years before Stonehenge. Many mounds have been found to have astronomical alignments, which Newgrange does, indicating that astronomy was very important to the people who were constructing these mounds. I toured Newgrange in 1999. It was amazing. Recently, I had friends go, and they weren't able to get in because Newgrange is becoming so popular that you have to request a reservation weeks and weeks in advance. But we were able to go. We went on a tour, and the tour guide took us down this long passage into a very large chamber. It was described that this chamber is what held the bones of loved ones, and it appears that when someone died, they were cremated, and the leftovers were put in these open vessels or platforms that their bones were left on. And once we were in this chamber, the tour guide had us look down this passageway, and there was an opening like a door, even though there weren't hinges or anything for a door. But just above the door was an opening, and it is through this window that when the sun rose in the winter solstice, that it would slowly follow that passageway into the chamber. And then the tour guide described how it is believed that crystals were placed around this chamber, that when the sun caught it, it would just kind of glow. Anyway, so even today, if you were to go on YouTube, you would see people gathering there every winter solstice to see the rising sun. And it is through a lottery that you're allowed into that chamber, because it isn't a large chamber, but what a treat it would be to be able to be there for the winter solstice. Anyway, so for us to understand the planets and how we shift. Just understand that how our universe or our solar system is diagrammed today, it isn't the way it always has been. Planets have moved around. And also to understand our universe a little bit better is water, liquid water. There's plenty of frozen water, but liquid water is very rare in our solar system. Most of our solar system is made up of solids like the moon or our crust and core of the earth, and gases. When we refer to our solar system, what does that mean? Well, our star is at the very center, and our planets orbit around it. And not all of the orbits are perfectly circular. It changes, and not all the planets rotate the same. So the four planets closest to the sun are referred to terrestrial planets, and they are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The four later or further away from the sun planets are considered gas or Jovian giants, and they are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. What is sometimes called the third zone, and that is beyond Neptune, is a place called the Kuiper Belt. It is named for Gerard Kuiper, who published a paper in 1951 speculating on what was beyond Pluto, and now Pluto's kind of included in the Kuiper Belt. He was born in 1905 in the Netherlands and became an American citizen, and later was named the director of the Planetary Laboratory of the University of Arizona, and he was in that position until he died in 1973. Astronomers believe there are, get this, millions of small icy objects in the Kuiper Belt, including hundreds of thousands, so get that, hundreds of thousands that are larger than 60 miles wide. Also included are several dwarf planets, and our dear friend Pluto is included. So it's Ceres, Pluto's, Haumea, Makemake, and Eris. There are also thousands of comets, including over 1 million asteroids. Now, you got to remember, asteroids are the ones that hit the Earth. Some of the objects, including Pluto, are over 600 miles wide. In addition to rock and ice objects in the Kuiper Belt, it also contains a variety of frozen compounds like ammonia and methane. Beyond the Kuiper Belt, scientists have named an area described as a giant spherical shell surrounding our solar system as the Oort cloud. It is like a big, thick-walled bubble made of icy pieces of space. The concept of such a cloud was proposed in 1950 by the Dutch astronomer Jan Oort, O-O-R-T is his last name, in whose honor the idea was named. He was born in 1900, died in 1992, and he made significant contributions to our understanding of the Milky Way and our solar system. So what is an exosphere, and is it the same as an atmosphere? Join me next time as Granny goes down the rabbit hole of the moon and our universe, episode 5. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.